Whoa, Matt. Miazga told me not to overhype early victory, but FC Cincinnati put on another show this weekend. This one had everything: a little sparring, a spicy, fired up Bailey, Das Boots all over the stadium, a red card, and most importantly, 3 points for FC Cincinnati. They're sharing the top of the table with Atlanta and Nashville and feeling good about it after getting past one of the better teams in Major League Soccer over the past decade. Seattle had only played 2 matches before this one, but they had 6 goals and 2 clean sheets. Last week, I believe Jillian Sekovitz on this show said if FCC took down Seattle, they would be one of the best teams in Major League Soccer. I think out west, St. Louis and LAFC are also fighting for those rights, but you are listening to this broadcast because you have a warm, fuzzy feeling deep down in your soul right now, and that is enjoyable. It might just last until you watch Chicago and get those pre-match nerves again. You are listening to episode 321 of the Cincinnati Soccer Talk main show. We are old, but still grinding to get you your content. Tonight we have Apple TV's play-by-play. Terens swinging by, and we can't wait to learn a bit about him and give him the scoop on FCC. Of course, I am joined by a great cast as usual. Let's get them in here. First up, the guy that keeps his place running, Bryan Weigel. How you doing?
Great. Got to take the family down this weekend. All 3 kids, my brother-in-law, my wife, had a great time. So I got to see a win, and not used to having 2 wins in a season at TQL Stadium. So we're partying now in the Bailey, or whatever Tommy says.
Undefeated at home.
There we go. I'm not used to this. Kind of like it.
So when we win like this, does this make you want to go down more? Keep going, keep the luck alive?
Well, it does cost me a little bit for the amount of Sour Patch Kids and cotton candy and like popcorn's now like $8, but it's all worth it when we get 3 points. So I guess so. Yes.
Next up, you might think it's later in the week when you hear his voice. It's Coach. How you doing?
I am doing just grand, Boston. I decided to come sully my reputation with you boys on a Monday for once.
Oh, it's good to have you. We appreciate it. I've heard great things about your show right now. In fact, there's I think right now on Reddit, there's a thread on what podcast to watch. This seems to pop up about every week, but somehow you're getting more love than our main show. So I'm
no way. We know I'm here because I want to actually visit with you guys and gain as much knowledge as I give, for real.
Well, I have a theory that bringing you on might increase the listens, the views. So that's what we'll see if we can boost the show here. Finally, another round for our newest edition. I'm gonna call you New Bryan. How does that work? Oh wait, we gotta bring you in here.
Yeah, New Bryan works just fine for me, man. I'm glad to be here. My only regret is that I wasn't there in the stadium that night. I was watching from my home here in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Yeah, it was a good game though, man. Really enjoyed it, and it's good to see another gentleman on the show. Good to see you, Coach, with no hair over there. So I'm liking that.
I'm a little worried, New Bryan, because as soon as they start calling me Old Bryan, that means you've taken the Bryan chair, and you already got a better backdrop, you got a better mic, you got a better beard. So I'm kind of worried right now.
Yeah, I might have the old over you though on this one. So we'll just go because I'm new to the show. We know what it's all about.
I don't know, with that black backdrop, maybe Dr. Claw Bryan is more.
Does he have a little white cat fur ball that sits on there? Inspector Gadget style.
He's hiding in the corner.
Were the jerseys? You have a bunch of old FC Cincinnati jerseys. Have they always been back there, or is that special for the show?
Special for the show, but I have them available when I need them.
Nice. Yeah, it looks nice up there, showing it off. All right, let's get into your best and worst. We got a quick show here tonight. As you all know, Apollo Home is a premium home provider in Cincinnati. They pride themselves on awesome customer service, expert technicians, and 7-day-a-week service, as well as being an awesome sponsor of Cincinnati Soccer Talk. For a limited time, they are offering $39 furnace tune-up. Keep your HVAC system running strong this winter. Winter's almost over, but.
And Boston muted himself, so I don't know what's going on there. He might have disconnected his microphone. We're in the process of getting some stuff. Guys, make sure to go. Please support Apollo Home. Again, for a limited time, $39 furnace tune-up. Get your HVAC system up and running strong this winter with $39 special tune-up. Give them a call. Schedule at Apollo home.com. All right, are we going to go into the best and the worst of the week? We're going to keep this train rolling right now. We're going to start with Bryan B. I'm going to put some respect on his name. Bryan, give us your best and worst for the week.
Yeah, you might have just saved it. I mean, your save there might have just taken the best of the week there, Bryan. But if I had to look past that, man, I'd go with Moreno in the midfield. His play, I thought he was solid. And there were a couple times that I just thought, man, I was watching early in the first half and I saw him step into some passing lanes that I just thought, oh, he's going to get beat. And he was right there when the pass was made. And it was just incredible the way he read the game. And I think off of his play, we were able to press, we were able to push forward because we knew he was playing so well right there. So I got to say Junior Moreno was my best this week.
Amen. And he got called up to the Venezuelan national team today.
Yeah, I saw that. How
100%
about that?
Deserved.
Yeah, for sure. Going with my worst then, we moving on to our worst.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, I was a little nervous there. I wasn't again in the stadium, but I'm watching in my living room. I got company, and everybody's like, there's a lot of anxiety in my house right now because some of us are waiting for that final whistle. Our company's getting ready to leave, but they don't want to leave until the whistle blows. And we were just they just had the pressure on there at the end. So, man, I was really nervous. That was my worst, is waiting for that final whistle. Those 9 minutes of extra time turned into 13 or 14.
14. I think that I was listening to so Seattle puts their post-game radio show as a podcast, and they said 14 minutes was what the time ended up being.
It was wild, man. It was wild.
Yeah. Don't know if we got Boston up and running yet, so I'm going to throw it over to Coach for his best and worst.
Yeah, on that 14 minutes of stoppage time, I went back and looked, and VAR reviews only took 9 total. So where the extra 5 came from, you and I will have to just figure that out. My best this week is, how about FC Cincinnati being able to play through the press, guys? We haven't seen that in the past. In the past, when teams came out of the locker room like Seattle did, high pressing, trying to get on the front foot, everything was long balls, hoping that Brandon Vasquez could flick something on or bring something down. But FC Cincinnati showed an ability, not just in this match, but a couple matches now, to keep possession of the ball and actually play through the lines.
Coach, can I interject real quick?
Yeah.
I want to get your thoughts on this because I wrote this down on my notepad. I think we're not sneaking up on anybody this year. A lot of teams know who we are, our offensive firepower, with even Barrial coming out of the midfield or out of the back line, Mascara ping long balls. I think we're going to see a lot of teams be in this low shell to start against us for a lot of the season.
Yeah, I think that until FC Cincinnati proves that they can score against teams, but they created plenty of opportunities against Orlando and just didn't hit the back of the net. And Seattle tried to do this, and FC Cincinnati proved that they would not let them get out in transition and score. So good luck trying to sit back against a team with that attacking trio up top, Barrial serving balls in from the wing, and now a defense who is not going to be a pushover in transition. But that brings up my worst, because my worst is finishing in transition. 1 goal should have became 2, should have became 3 if Brenner and company could get out on the break and finish those chances. I think they'll come. I don't think this is something that is more than just early season pain coming through, but that finishing in transition could have cost the team. I think they got away with one there when they didn't finish in the second half and create a multiple goal lead.
I'll jump into my best and worst for the week. I'm not sure, Boston. So it looks, when we're for years, after our starting 11 was done, we have maybe 1-2 levers that we could really pull, and none of them were great. And I saw a team this weekend that was deeper than the defending CONCACAF Champions League team. We are vastly deeper, more levers to pull. And I think it's just we'll call it a masterclass of roster build right now, at least at the beginning of the year. So I love that we're able to go out and bring in Kubo. We're able to, if we lose Hagelin, we can go out and bring in an Alvis Powell or a your buddy in the back line. My God, I can't remember. Ian Murphy. All these different players that we can bring in. It's so huge. And of course, Sergio Santos running around. Being a killer off to kill off the end of games is amazing. Also, favorite is Yerson Mascara. The guy has been everything that's been advertised. I was kind of talking to the people behind me this week saying, you know, he's supposed to be immensely talented. Now let's see what happens on the field. And I think you saw his athleticism, his decision making, his ability to get into top level players' heads, like Jordan Mars wanted nothing to do with him all week or all match. So I love seeing that out of the youngster. The worst, I'm going to say, again, 2 of them. Clapping with gloves is the worst thing ever. So bring on the warm weather, please. Miserable. The other was the whoops by Roman Celentano, as well as some of his distribution. His distribution numbers are way higher than anything we saw last year. But I'm just still looking a little bit more for the guy to help link up play.
Good takes. I think I'm back. One of these days, I'm going to buy a new mic. I'm so cheap that I won't do it, but this might have convinced me finally to get it done. Oh man, I guess that's gonna be my worst for the week. Is absolutely making sure I just have to sit perfectly still here to avoid knocking my cord out. So that's a fun thing for to worry about all show. All right, the best is by far, I think, the excitement level at TQL Stadium. That's 2 games in a row that it has been absolutely full of excitement, and I think that the players. I mean, you saw Seattle's players comment about it this week. After the game, you saw Noonan mention it. You saw FC Cincinnati players talk about it. So you have 3 basically you've covered all 3 areas of that pitch, and every single person's talking about the crowd. And Seattle's was really nice because they what is it? Jordan Morris said that basically he could tell that our players were just fueled by it. And said it was a lot tougher. I think they even expected it to be a difficult place to play. Oh man. So it wasn't just Celentano with the goalie here, guys. I mean, I think both goalkeepers really made a boo-boo in this one, because you had a big.
Elaborate on this, Boston. Are you calling the goal that should you saying he should have stopped that? Not the rocket leg from Brenner?
No.
The one that Vasquez flicked on, I was guessing.
What is it?
Yeah, the goalie kicked the ball out. Do you not remember this one? So
I have 3 kids.
It was clearly an errant pass that was intercepted by him, and I honestly thought that was going to lead to a.
When you're having to clean off like cotton candy from one kid, and then they're trying to grab your phone, so it's easy to miss stuff. I try not to. But.
Yeah, I thought you meant the one Vasquez flipped on, and there was miscommunication between their keeper and their center backs. And the ball almost crossed the line there too. That was another one.
Oh yeah, that was a good one. I totally forgot about that. It would have been the world's slowest goal had it actually scored.
I thought the play was over, and I looked up and I saw him still scrambling all of a sudden. So yeah, it was pretty wild.
Lots of best and worst in the comments. A lot of love for Ray Gaddis. So let's quickly just jump into that. Ray Gaddis getting all of the love on this side. I did not think going into this season that would be something that's coming up in this show. Just not in a million years. What's going on? Can you coach Ray Gaddis to 2 starts in a row? I guess we'll go with coach and coach.
Yeah. The thing about Ray is he doesn't beat himself. If Ray Gaddis gets beat on the field, it's because somebody is better than him or faster than him or stronger than him, which, don't get me wrong, happens a fair bit, but he never beats himself. He is always in good position. He doesn't dive in. And because FCC is in that 3 center back set, if somebody does go out and is faster than him or stronger than him, there's always a center back behind him. And Nick Hagland, with that veteran presence, and Ray Gaddis, they're keeping their lines tight together. Neither of them are getting too stretched from the other. And I think it's a pretty good partnership. So now the big question is can Arias or Powell step in and not beat themselves and add more to the attack that we are not getting from Ray?
So the question I had for you, Coach, Nick Hagland's going to be out this week due to red card suspension. I don't know who you plug in there, if it's Alvis Powell or Ian Murphy, but my question is, if Arias is healthy, do you put a new Arias on the right wing back role and a new right center back? I just think there's so much reason for errors there that you almost have to assume that Gaddis is going to get the jump again this weekend?
Yeah, it's a great question, but I don't know how you could start Gaddis on the right with somebody like Alvis Powell behind him that is not a natural center back, because such a key to that relationship in that position is the distance between players there. I wouldn't be that surprised to see Mosquera shift to the right and Arias come back in if he's able to go. If not, you can roll with Gaddis out there, because even if Mosquera gets stretched away a little bit, he has the athleticism to make up for it. So the question is do you bring Murphy in at the left or Powell in at the right? And I would have said before the season, hands down, Murphy. He showed well last year, but he's gotten a few minutes this year and has not looked quite settled yet. So I think maybe getting a start could help that. And especially against a Chicago team that is not exactly clicking on all cylinders right now.
Yeah, my money's on Murphy. I think Coach Noonan's just going to go traditional instead of winging out things there. Oh, Bryan, any thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think I just want to second everybody saying how great of a game Gaddis played. I was surprised when he was in the starting lineup. I was shocked. Coming up, I think we go with Murphy as well. I got nothing else to add. I think Coach said it.
Yeah, and this is the game you want to give Arias the extra week, I think, if you need to, because Chicago's missing 2 players now. Their midfield's looking a little shaky. They already weren't world beaters, but my money is, if you got to pick a game, this is the one, because Nashville all of a sudden isn't looking so like the firepower type of team we thought. Bryan, today it was kind of announced that we're going to lose Junior Mourinho against Nashville. Do you think we'll lose anybody else?
Well, I think you will lose. Well, Junior Mourinho's going to be gone, and it really is what happens with Mosquera, what happens with Angulo, what happens with Brandon Vasquez. You have that late March break. Of course, the USA is going to be playing in Nations League matches. Colombia, I think, is down in Australia, something like that. So we'll see what happens with Ecuador. So yeah, it's going to be real interesting versus Nashville. Of course, they'll be without Walker Zimmerman, I'm assuming, as he'll be called up. But our depth with that I mentioned just a little bit ago is going to be tested greatly in just a couple weeks.
Yeah, I know we'll talk more about this next week, because I'm hoping we'll have a better picture of what's going on, especially with Nashville side, because I would expect they're going to also be missing a couple guys. And that game, what I was hoping would be like Titan versus Titan in the East, theoretically, if we both were to somehow win again next week. Man, that's just like a game you wish everybody would be there for. Victims of our own success in a way, if we're going to have players called. Junior Mourinho has built his own resume, because I didn't see that call up coming, and good for him.
He's played exceptional. I think it kind of goes with that partnership with Wobodo and Coach. I don't know. Everybody always looks at the highlight signings of Brenner and Vasquez coming along, but I can't think of 2 more impact signings that changed the trajectory of this club than Moreno in preseason and then Obi shortly thereafter.
Yeah, 100%. And the fact that they have such a good partnership, they struggled a bit in the first 2 games, knowing exactly when to press together and when to let one press and have the other one sit in. But I think that they are getting that figured out, and it looked really good against Seattle. The question about Moreno that I have still is, can you continue to roll out a defensive center mid in the middle of the park there that doesn't win any balls, doesn't make any tackles, doesn't make any interceptions? His defensive stats are practically zeros across the board in every game. Now, is that just because he's in the right spot and, teams don't try to play through him? Or is that Obi covering up for something? And so I'm actually looking forward to Moreno being gone, not because he hasn't been great, because he has. But I want to see what a midfield of Kubo and Obi, or if Angulo sticks around, could look like. Because I think down the stretch, when we're playing better and better teams, I think that gives FC Cincinnati the best chance to continue to win.
We've had 2 straight matches of, in my opinion, solid refereeing, or at least consistent refereeing. In my favorite type of refereeing is when they're stingy on the whistle. even if it sometimes costs my team. I just like I like the game to flow. I like it when you let the boys play. We got the opposite. The other shoe is eventually going to drop. A lot of early whistles, a lot of blows this week. And I kind of want to get your thoughts. Many questions. Seattle fans a little upset. FC Cincinnati fans upset. I don't think anyone was happy, but justified or not, I guess is going to be the question around the horn here. So we'll start with new Bryan. Approve or disapprove?
Yeah, I thought there were a lot of calls, as you mentioned. He was a little whistle happy. A lot of calls that were made that probably shouldn't have been made. I had some friends that were there at the stadium from here in Fort Wayne. They had their Fort Wayne Sport Club soccer team there watching the game, and they were just commenting. They were texting me, commenting on all the stoppages in the game. And is it always like this? That, like, there's a lot of drama. There's guys diving. There's whistles all the time. So I think they noticed it as well, being new to the stadium, that, it's not always that way, but certainly there were a lot of whistles. I think there were some that were unjustified. I think the Barreal one, it barely touched. It looked worse than it was. I can see why the whistle was blown. You go back to it, and I don't think that, that was worthy of what he got, but it is what it is.
I don't think I've seen 9 minutes of stoppage time since the playoff game versus New York Red Bulls, and we all expected it. Coach, is that normal?
Or the World Cup, when everything had 9 to 10 minutes, right?
Yeah, in reality, I would favor either a stop clock system or actually adding on the time lost, because if you really take into account most of those stoppages, every game would have 10 plus minutes. But the fact is, that's not what we typically get. So having more than 10 or 12 minutes, unless there's like a significant injury, is probably too much, probably weird, and you have to make the adjustment. I think you can't say there's going to be 7, then change it to 9, and then actually play 14, because that nobody knows what's happening.
Yeah. And then you had two, funny enough, I think I did the recap on CincinnatiSoccer.com this week, and I think I said a lot of whistle blows, a lot of fouls called, but the 2 VAR replays were on 2 plays that were not called. So it's just kind of ironic. Do you agree with both VAR calls?
I will say, in terms of the whistles overall, I think that's a testament to how good Cincinnati was. They've rattled Seattle, and so Seattle started looking for the referee to slow the game down and to put his imprint on the game. And I think that the ref bought it a little bit, which is unfortunate. But you saw the Roldan brothers specifically going over every time they got touched. Ladero is doing his Ladero thing, which involves a lot of diving. In terms of the VAR play, I think that the goal being disallowed was an absolute must. I'm shocked it wasn't called on the field. It was so blatant and obvious. I saw it in real time. Of course, I have the overhead view with the stadium camera, but I would think that at least an AR would have seen it. And in terms of the yellow card changing to a red, I do think that was the right call overall. But I don't think within the system of VAR that it's supposed to be a clear and obvious error to change. I don't know what they saw on the camera that they didn't see in real time that made them think that it was a yellow at first and change it to a red. That doesn't make sense to me. If in real time you think Matt Miazga is there to cover, or if the foul wasn't that bad, then how does the replay change that? You have an AR, you have a fourth official, and you have the center official all talking on their microphones and making that decision to go with the yellow. And then the VAR referee calls him over and he overrules himself. That I do not understand. Although I think, like I said, the call probably was right in the end.
Do you think it's just a simple matter of them being cautious, going yellow first, knowing they have the VAR that could check?
I don't, because the VAR could still check to pull the red back to a yellow. And you saw the referee come and he put his hand in his back pocket. If you're in the stadium, you might not have seen it, but he was going to give the red card. And then he touches his ear. Wait, what am I hearing now? And then he decides to go yellow. So clearly his AR said, no, I think Matt Miazga was in a covering position or whatever. And that's why I don't understand why it was reversed. But, live and learn. VAR giveth and VAR taketh away.
I think the ref gave it because he's mad at our fans, Coach.
Don't get me started, Bryan. Don't get me started, less new Bryan.
Hey, all I gotta say, your day job's to get people into heaven. Soccer's job is to get people to sin. So let's go for it.
I need somebody to take off their FC Cincinnati hat real quick. and put a Seattle one on. Handball or no handball, because I tell you what, the Twitter and Reddit sphere are blowing up with Seattle fans believing they should have got a handball in the box.
I don't think it touched his hand. On all the replays that I saw, I could not tell that the ball touched his hand. His hand was definitely raised, and if it hit his hand, certainly it probably should have been a handball, but I don't think it touched it, so I don't know what they're whining about.
And it definitely went to check. Like, they checked it and then decided not to call him over to the screen. So is that just a simple matter of clear and obvious, I'm guessing?
Yeah, I mean, if it touched his hand at all, it was so minuscule they could not even see it in super slow motion from 3 different camera angles. So do with that what you will.
A lot of Seattle fans somehow saw it.
Well, Seattle's used to getting their way. They're like the Yankees, all the close strike calls are there for them. So come on.
All right, well, let's break down this win a little bit more. FC Cincinnati with possession again. A little bit surprising. I thought we would play our game, let Seattle have the ball, but I guess I want to know, is the new Pat Noonan era here, where we no longer sit back and let teams have the ball and then try to shove it down their throat with the long Brandon over the top? I'm just new, Bryan. Let's go to you. Is this here to stay? 60+% possession?
Man, I hope so. I mean, I think we've got the team's clicking a little bit more than maybe we saw last season. We saw some good things coming, and I think with some of the new pieces in place, for sure, I think we're pressing higher, we're pressing more as a team, and when we lose the ball, we're winning it back a lot quicker than we did. So, man, I hope so. I see the pieces there.
Coach, I kind of want to get your thoughts on this, is that Seattle's always known for switching the point of attack quickly, and they were not able to do so on many occasions, whether that be Moreno or Obi snuffing that out before it could happen, or when they would change the point of attack, it'd be slow. They'd have to take it back and then over. I thought that was great. I don't know if it's how we had our midfielders there, or hell, even sometimes when pushing Barrial a little further up the field, and then Mascara could kind of cover that space too.
Yeah, I think that the spacing between the lines in this game was phenomenal. And when I say that, I mean basically the distance between like your forward line and your midfield line, the distance between your midfield line and your back line. It was so good. There was no player that could get the ball on the pitch and turn and have a lot of time to make a big long pass. So what you're seeing is the wing back Barrial, for instance, would sit off of Alex Roldan and not go press him immediately. But he was close enough to where if Roldan got the ball, he could press him and not allow him to turn. If Roldan didn't get the ball, they can't play over the top because Barrial's not pressed up so high. And that spacing was just so good this game. You can tell that it's something that Noonan has been focusing on. And if you watch the 3 games of this season, it progressively gets better.
My one concern about, we had good defensive shape, but we struggled to get into full gear offensively, is I think Barrial sometimes struggles on that left side to know when to keep pressing the attack and knowing when to pull back. Like, I just see him so many times where he gets to that, like, we'll say the imaginary line across the field, like right around where the penalty line starts. Like, I feel like he just sometimes throws on the brakes and versus driving down, letting Brandon and Brenner kind of get towards the goal mouth. I feel like we're struggling there a little bit.
Yeah, you actually saw 2 instances in this match in the first half. One of them, New Bryan referenced earlier with the back heel, the Vasquez back heel towards the net that almost rolled over the line, where Barrial did look up, spot Vasquez's run, and try to fit it into him. And the timing there is just a little bit off between Barrial knowing exactly when Vasquez, because he does so good, he drifts away from that defender, and then he darts to that near post. And that timing has to be perfect, or else he's either beyond the near post, like happened with the back heel opportunity, or he's not quite there, which happened the opportunity just before that. I think it's a timing issue. I think what would help that is if Barrial was not afraid to hit crosses a bit earlier at times to keep the back line on their toes, so to speak. You don't always have to get down even with the penalty spot or down to the goal line to hit a cross. Also, you have Lucho out there who is always saying, don't cross the ball, put it to my feet. So that's probably an issue.
Yeah, I think that if I could jump in, I think Barrial played really well between the boxes. I think you're right. Getting crosses off a little sooner could be good for him. Do you think, Coach, I was listening to the walkthrough that you did, and the challenge he had with Alex Roldan on that side, do you think that played into his play going forward at all, that he was a little hesitant maybe?
Yeah, New Bryan's referencing the new podcast that Nate Gilman and I are doing, the walkthrough. Download it every Thursday or Friday to get yourself prepared for the match. Shameless self-promotion. But I do think that has a little bit to do with it. I was talking about that spacing earlier. Well, if Barreal just absolutely bombs forward like a winger, like Roldan does for Seattle, then that spacing gets thrown off. Mosquera has to do a lot of work pinching really high, because what Seattle does is they drift a midfielder to that side. So you'll have a Nico Ladero come all the way wide. And now Barreal, if he goes and presses on Roldan, Mosquera has to come up and take Ladero, which leaves us light in the back for a diagonal run like we saw on that 15-minute Jordan Morris pass. That's exactly what happened there. So when that spacing is wrong, it's bad. And that makes Barreal have to think every time he decides to go forward, am I going to be able to make a recovery run? So he has to go when he's pretty sure he can get the ball, or bare minimum, his team's not going to turn the ball over cheaply.
I'm not the world's greatest fan of power rankings, but ESPN.com put out one today, and I like to read the little blogs that they have in there. FC Cincinnati, by the way, if you are into these things, moved up 5 spots, second in the league behind LAFC. Seattle falls to 3. We basically stole their spot. What my favorite line of this, though, was FC Cincinnati has a marquee win after beating Seattle over the weekend, and they're showing an impressive ability to dictate both tempo and where on the pitch matches are played. Teams aren't supposed to have this type of versatility so early in the season, but Cincinnati does. And clearly, the author probably talking about the midfield play in this one.
Yeah, didn't watch the Houston game, apparently.
But
what he is talking about, Boston, is the fact that in this game, you saw FC Cincinnati play long balls into Brandon Vasquez's feet and skip that midfield at times. But then you have plays like the attack that almost led to a Brenner goal in the second half in the 67th minute, where they went from Barreal in the defensive third to Brenner running through in like 4 one-touch passes. It was so good. And you have them be able to attack in transition and attack with the long ball and keep possession around the back. They've showed that versatility. And that's what I was saying about earlier. Teams will not be able to just sit back against them because they have more clubs in the bag, so to speak.
All right. Well, I agree 100% with your point. I thought that was the cool line, and I think that is an area FC Cincinnati is improving. If you take Houston and then go to Seattle, night and day, right, as we improve through the year. So, big test. Next big test for me, of course, is Nashville. It'd be interesting to see if we can handle Chicago like everybody expects us to handle Chicago, but that's a danger zone, of course, right?
Yeah. What happened in 2022 when we said the same thing about Chicago?
Yeah, well, fair point. Celentano came up big when needed, right? But kids looking a little shaky. However, night and day difference from last season when Celentano had to bail. Like we needed Celentano to bail us out of games. This year, getting a lot of help from his back line at points. I think that's the problem. He just gets too bored back there, and then by the time it's time to do something, he's like, you know what? I'm coming out for that ball.
Yeah, I said it the first time, 2 weeks ago. Some of his decision making in the air scared me a little bit. This time it was some of that decision making on the ground coming out of the box on the one. Jordan Morris attacked, the one that late in the game when he collided and knocked Matt Miazga over. I think there's some simple things you can do to fix that. Certainly that, again, great shot stopper. I'd like to see that decision making improve this season.
Now, was the angle Jordan Morris skipped and missed that goal, but his angle was really bad, and he had to shoot cross body. Was that due to Celentano just making it more difficult there, or was it somebody else down there? My memory is just not reflecting it.
It was Gaddis chasing him down, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Gaddis chased him across the field. I still think he missed the far post, so he could have. There was an easy way he could have slid that inside the near.
Yeah, I just don't think it was as easy as a shot. It was rushed and then crossbody, and so yeah, of course, obviously, wide open goal. Should have hit it.
If you're gonna have that hairstyle, you better hit the frame. That's all I gotta say. My God, jeez, him and Stephen Fry, what the hell?
Yeah, or Brandon Vasquez, right?
Oh.
Oh man! All right, so Distribution. I guess that's the last Celentano spot we could talk about. Better or worse? He did have one he got rushed on and kicked out, but what keeper doesn't? I guess. Overall, I think I don't think anyone's too mad at Celentano.
I mean, I think there's points where he's put some balls out there where the forwards have been able to pick it out of the air, and he's been okay, better. It kind of helps that all the goal kicks are literally a 5-foot pass to Miazga. But I mean, overall, if you look at all his stats, short, medium, long range, his stats are better. So there's still room for improvement, but it's getting better. More confidence, more playing time will help.
I wouldn't call it a strength of his game, but it's no longer a glaring weakness. So that's, kind of all you can ask at this stage in his career.
That's true.
Fans in the comment section, Kevin Michael says, no panic here. Guys on top of the world. Not too worried about it. Yeah, I don't think we're calling for a change in goalkeeper. Obviously, it's a little hard to do when you are 7 points up. It's just FC Cincinnati's playing well enough that we don't want to just come on the show and say how great things are. We have to dig into our bag of complaints somewhere, right, guys? Bryan, what I'm most interested in, I think, away from the field is, did you get a Das Boot?
Oh, yeah. No, you know the answer to that when I was with Lucy. Come on. Actually, I saw Jason at the game, and he had one, and I was like, "Hey, bud, that's a lot smaller than I thought it was going to be." But...
Dude, I thought that's what I thought. I said, "Who shrunk these things?" In the picture, they were huge.
They're neat. They're definitely neat, and I'd like to have one, but I don't see the value there. Just get a couple Coors Banquets at the bar there for $9 and be just as happy. So
they did drop the price. So I
Okay.
half wonder if when they first were announced by Pat Brennan, I'm pretty sure if I go back and look at that tweet, it was $20 plus something for one, and now at the stadium they were only like 18. So maybe they shipped them the wrong size and the prices changed. Everything was reworked on the back.
The only drinks I was buying were hot chocolates. Let's say that on Saturday. So I do need to point out, I ran into the executive chef and I'm like, hey man, a random question. I need to know where these hot chocolates are. My kids are going nuts. And he got on the radio, hooked me up, told me where to go. La Rosa's booth has hot chocolate. So word to the wise. And thank you, Master Chef, whatever your name is.
How does one just run into the executive chef?
I'm not going to tell you what he was doing because he would probably be getting into trouble if he was watching the game live. But
yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out. Like, holy, I've been a season ticket holder for 5 years, 6 years, whatever it is, and I've never ran into the executive chef. Come on, man. I've got pretzel complaints. Hook me up with this guy. I need a phone number.
Clifford Adams said there's like a hot Cheetos pretzel now in the stadium.
Really?
Yeah, we got to find that one. Well, next time I run to the executive chef, I'll ask him where it is, and then I'll direct you there.
Okay. Yeah, I need to do a walk of the stadium this year. I feel like that's something every fan should do. Every year they change, they tweak things, and I've just stayed in my own little area so far.
I don't know what it is. I feel like something's a little bit different. I was able to. I mean, it's still always jammed, but I felt a little bit easier to walk around this year. I don't know if that's just kind of making up in my head, but we did like a lap about 25 minutes before kickoff, showing my brother-in-law around. So. It's still such an awesome place to go.
Now that the pandemic is waning, everybody's lost 3 pounds. And when you 3 pounds times 25,000 people, it's a lot more space out there.
Yeah, I like the math.
Flaming hot Cheetos, dusted pretzel, Southgate concourse, according to the feed. So yeah,
there you go.
I'll check it out. Why not? There's no way that can hurt my stomach, right? Das Boots though everywhere. So I know you didn't get one. I didn't get one yet, but the fans, I would call it a hit. Whatever that promotion was, it was a big success. Yeah. But if I bought one, I would be trying to smuggle that thing back in so I can get $10 refills next game. That's totally not what you're supposed to do, I'm pretty sure. But let's we'll test TQL security, see how good it is, right?
There's security there, huh? I didn't know that. No, I'm joking. Just got to bring a big coat in.
I think we should start a podcast feature for a new Bryan of when will you make it to TQL Stadium?
Just call him Bryan B. Just call him Bryan B. Please.
Yeah. So, okay, I'm going to be in town next weekend, and I was all excited because the initial schedule that I thought I saw showed Chicago playing in Cincinnati. And then I looked 3 days later and they had switched it. This was all preseason stuff. And either I looked at the schedule wrong or what, but I was so excited. We'll be there. My son will be playing, but man, I hope to get there in a few weeks.
Yeah, we got to get you down here. Fort Wayne and Cincinnati are not that far apart. Not at all.
No, we play there all the time. My son's team plays there all the time. We'll be there for the Elite Turf Classic or whatever that King's Hammer's putting on next week.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. And did you see the image of the guy in the Bailey drinking out of the real boot? Tell me you guys saw this.
Did not see that one.
Really? Was it Viking helmet or was it a real boot?
No. He took his boot off. He wasn't going to go buy Das Boot. He took his boot off. He filled it with beer and started drinking it. You got to get on Twitter more, man.
Yeah, it was.
I saw the Viking horn. We were joking. We were laughing about that on television. The guy drinking out of the Viking horn.
Oh, nice.
I think Chief Warpig needs to test himself after that or something. I don't know, man. Oh, he hit his microphone. Oh shoot. Now I gotta go check the rundown. Thanks, Boston. All right. Let's I'm gonna give a big shout out to all of our supporters. Is that cool? Thumbs up. Yeah. All right. So again, this is a new season of Cincinnati Soccer Talk. We're pleased to be launching another year's worth of content. Year 8 here for like 300 some odd episodes. So it's a pleasure to be here for you guys. Every season we have a different change in support. So we want to give a big shout out to all of our new fans for making this upcoming year possible, besides our newest sponsors. So our newest Patreon is Joseph a Hanger 937. You are sliding in to save the day this week. Boston's eloquence. Love it. So we also got Redley, John Davidson. This week it's a dinosaur. Roar! I don't know how to make a different one than Tiger. Row. Robert Stevens, Laurel Failer, Matt Adamchick, Riley Stephen Burke, James Denbo, Tom Niehaus, Brian Giles, Dan Albers, Will Kychek, Ian Rexroth, Carl Feit, Christina Schwarma, Kyle Pohl, Rupesh, Tom Beaversdorf, Super Average Jason, John Haskell, Ryan Ernest, Mary Lou, West Anastasi, Rob Pierce, Clifford Adams, Thomas Spieth, Pierce Johnston, Mike Prentice, David Wiederhold, Rob Grissell, Bradley Weigel, Kevin L. Day, Paul Hedker, Jamie Smed, Alex Carnegas, Dave Tangler, Patrick Lonnie, Mike Bowman, Brett Silva, Chris Hubbard, Kevin Cooney, Joe Max, Jack Emery, Sarah Gorman, David Moore, Bob Ryan, Ryan Durkin, Bart Libita, Rob Triple, Joe Laurie, Bill Leopold, Maureen H. Desmarais, Joseph F. Guerra, David Miles, John Kafahardy. I'm going to get there. Olympico, Joseph of Hanger 937, Justin Blair, Kyle Phillips, Ashley Niehaus, Dan Burns, Tyler Nolan, Coach Clip, Justin Gregory, and Scott Dalton. Thank you all so much for supporting Cincinnati Soccer Talk. Please go to cincinnati-soccertalk.com/support or Patreon to donate to FC Cincinnati Soccer Talk. Of course, Jonas for our cool Growler Cup contest every week. So hopefully I didn't butcher too many names, and Boston's back here to save the day.
No, that was awesome. That was worth it. I purposely did that just to cure that.
Sure, you did.
That displeasure in your voice of trying to guess names.
I got Subs here talking smack on our Slack page about you, so you better watch out here, Boston.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. Not normally the one with technical issues. While we're at it, though, let's go ahead and give a big shout out to, speaking of Subs, our sponsor. We had Subs read this ad, and we hope you enjoy it.
Beyond Exercise is a locally owned physical therapy and fitness facility that helps people prevent and rehab from injuries, improve fitness and athleticism, and recover from strains of daily life. In fact, they've worked with a couple of your FCC starting 11 over the past 3 off seasons. Check out their website to see who these players are and to see the range of services they provide to keep you pain-free and moving well at GoBeyondExercise.com.
Big thanks to our local sponsors, keyword local, and they support soccer. It's a combo you can't pass up on. So big shout out to Beyond Exercise for adding a little special sauce into our show. We got a congested schedule coming up here soon. Chicago, Nashville, and then we talked about both of those, and then right after it, we get back into the busy season. I guess I want to find out from you guys how you think this next spurt of games would go, because I think arguably, if I had asked you before the season how FC Cincinnati would do in their first 3 games, I just don't have a good feeling Coach would have said 7 points.
No, I would have been thrilled with 5, because that would have meant that we were undefeated. I cannot imagine a world in which reality exists where FC Cincinnati takes 7 points off of those first 3 matches until it happened. Away at Orlando is a tough match. I don't care if you rotate that early in the season, preseason legs, the heat of Orlando. It's a good team. And then Seattle is always a tough matchup. So, and eking one out against Houston. That was the only, 3 points I felt pretty confident about. And that might've been the hardest match. So interesting days. They need to keep it up.
Yeah. And then Miami is our next third. So if you look at the next 3 on paper, Miami has had some good spurts in their first 3 matches, but also some big weaknesses. So Chicago, Miami, and then Nashville being the hard one there. On paper, you would look at that and go, 6 points, right, Bryan? Are you that confident?
I think that's certainly an option now. I would have said would have loved 4 points for their first 3 matches. I think I even said so on the show. So yeah, I think that's fair. Anytime you go on the road for 2 games, you're probably going to drop something somewhere. But we need to bank as many points as possible. I think we're clicking at at least defensively. So we'll see if we can put some offense together and get some confidence built up for Chicago.
All right, and Miami is just the one team that I'm a little bit puzzled by so far. I've got a really good feel for Nashville, and I think that match is just going to be a defensive slugger because you have FC Cincinnati now with this decent back line. Nashville with what could arguably be
Miami just lost their designated player in Gregor, so they're going to be a little undermanned right now. So it's a good time of year to play them. The thing I'm highlighting, Bryan, is yes, I'm very excited for Nashville March 25th, but at St. Louis on April 15th. I know we're a month away, but that St. Louis match is what I am so juiced up for, especially because they're on 9 points.
Yeah, they're looking good. I'm blown away by the way they're playing, by the way they're bringing home the points. I've got some ties. I told Boston at one point I've got some ties to St. Louis as well. So excited to see that game coming up. My son will actually be in St. Louis that weekend, and I was seeing if I could sneak away to see FC Cincinnati play there, but I don't think that's going to happen, unfortunately. But man, that'll be a fun game.
This is when you slide another parent of 50. Say, hey, I need this.
Both games are sold out by FC Cincinnati traveling supporters. Nashville and St. Louis. Unless those teams can give us more tickets, which, by the way, I wouldn't rule out. It's theoretically possible. St. Louis is going to be tough. They're purposely cranking the prices. I think they're charging $50 an away ticket, and they have a whole stadium full of people that are obviously excited to go check out what's going on in St. Louis. Won 3 games. I expect that thing to be a sellout and tickets to be very, very hard to get. So if you're an FC Cincinnati fan that wants to go to that match, buy your tickets as early as possible from like SeatGeek or Ticketmaster, because you're most likely looking at third party at this point. And the supporter section, gone. And I don't think those are coming back. Nashville, more of a chance there because they've got a bigger stadium, and I don't think they always sell it. Yeah, they only had 25,000 supporters in their stadium this week, so they're about 5,000 off their cap. That's the one that you can hopefully get more tickets to. Andrea asking on Facebook, why can't we get more tickets? It's the MLS has a limit, right, Bryan? And you can only get teams only have to offer so many, and more popular teams tend to offer less.
Yeah. I wrote a story back in 2017 when we played the Columbus Crew, questioning why the hell we were letting their fans for the first ever Hell's Real sit like pitch side. So I'm of the opinion where I don't want to let anybody in, much less give them too much training time at the Mercy Health Training Center with the, being professional, of course, but inside joke from this week. But yeah, I think 150, 200 tickets. If we could give them 75, I'd be happier. Columbus, don't give them anything because they suck. But yeah,
the catch 22 is your fans want to go there.
Sure. And I do the exact same thing St. Louis is doing. Jack those tickets up. But I get it. You have to be fair, but there's no need to give as much of competitive or any advantage that you can limit.
No. I really like the arrangement Cincinnati and Columbus have. There's at least 200, 300 tickets allowed on both sides. There's obviously huge demand. Neither club is going to be able to satisfy the demand, but they can allow a decent amount of supporters in to make that rivalry more fun. It is cool that all those yellow people sit up there and give us crap when they're doing better, and we can give them crap when we're doing better. And I've gone to, I think, every Crew game in Columbus that's existed, and I love them, despite the fact that so far we haven't done so well. That's changing this year, and it's because we're going to bring a contingent of fired up people. Oh man, Columbus, real quick, they drew again this week, right? So they're 2 draws and 1 win.
I mean, that's a good draw in Toronto. So
people keep saying that, but Toronto's
no. I don't buy it. I still think Toronto's going to turn it around.
Is this going to become a MLS pod now, so we can talk about all the teams in the league? Because I'll fight you on that Toronto thing. I think that's overhyped.
I've done that. I've done the league podcast route, and that's also why I lost a lot of hair. Not to the extent of Bryan B, but no. I still think anytime you can go pull a point away anywhere is a good result.
I'm gonna pull up the MLS standings here because while we're talking about it, we could get on other things, but this is kind of fun ad-libbing it here. Eastern Conference: Atlanta, Nashville, Cincinnati tied for the top, and then you have right below them Miami, Philadelphia, New England. New England obviously getting that win over the Western Conference, so that bumped them up. Orlando City, DC United, and Columbus on 4 points. And then surprisingly, here's the bottom. Teams I did not expect to see: New York City, Toronto, New York Red Bulls, and then 3 I did probably expect to see: Chicago, Montreal, and Charlotte. Anything surprising there besides Bryan's mediocre Toronto take?
Come on, man. I didn't expect Charlotte to be 0-3.
I didn't expect to see Charlotte at the bottom of the table at all. That's a surprise to me.
The big surprise for me is Miami being as high as they are, and I think that is the inflated stock price of the week, so to speak. I mean, they've relied on a couple of just absolute worldy strikes, I think, to win those matches and had a bit of luck. So I think that one's a little bit inflated. I think Toronto being low surprises me because I thought they would start strong and then fade down the stretch. So I'm sort of in between you guys. I don't think the hype is necessarily inflated there, but I think they just have too much age and not enough depth to put together a whole season. So they're going to be really hurting come the back half of the season if they continue this poor run in the beginning when theoretically all their old men are healthy and can run, other than Insigne.
The thing that I'm more focused on for FC Cincinnati is I'm so scared with how many guys we're going to lose this summer, especially if we play really, really well, lose 1 or 2 forwards, lose a midfielder. You never know what's going to happen with Obi. People could look at his quality and take him. Again, Coach, you might be able to elaborate. Is he more of a dime a dozen in some of the top 5 leagues? But I'm just petrified what happens if, we're a product of our own success. We have to start selling off these resources and all of a sudden we're a world beater in week 10, but what do we look like in week 20?
Yeah, it's an interesting problem to have because, like you said, victim of your own success. That means those players are playing well. I would be shocked if we don't lose at least one player. I think 2 is fairly likely. A player like Obi he still has things to work on to be a really, really great center midfielder in one of the top 5 leagues because he's not a great passer. He doesn't always make good decisions when it comes to when to go in for a tackle. But who had Lucho Acosta outpacing Obi on yellow cards through the first 3 matches on their bingo card? Not me. So maybe he's already starting to learn. Vasquez is always going to be on the radar. If he starts scoring, it depends. I think Alvaro Barreal is going to be on a lot of teams' radars, especially with that versatility.
Sure.
A team that can slot him in at a wing back. But the way that the way that Albright and Noonan have built this roster together, I think they don't have to let those guys leave right away. It can be like they did with Brenner. It's like, look, we'll find you the right opportunity. So we are going to lose pieces, but hopefully they can pace that out and bring in replacements before they're losing those guys like we've seen a lot of the most successful teams do.
Stop it. We're not losing anybody. Keeping everybody. Anyone that wants to go away, we're just going to deny. Like if Manchester United calls asking for Brenner, nope, sorry.
It's kind of weird to be in the spot, though, isn't it? After the seasons we've had, and we finally have a good one, and then the second season we're good. We're talking about losing players. That's a strange feeling.
And we're only 3 weeks in.
I know, right?
Kevin Michael saying Mascara could go back in the summer too, right?
Yep.
We have the option, right? I would hope we have the option.
I think you're going to see a mutual decision there. I would have to think. I mean, we do have the option of, from everything that we've put out there, but I think it's probably a mutual thing. We'll see what happens if they get relegated. Then he'll play in a championship. We'll see what happens.
I would hope we could somehow keep hold of him. But so you're saying he's going to go back no matter what?
Well, if you pull me right now and we have a buy option, I'd buy the hell out of him. But we'll see what happens.
I'm just a little bit worried on that one. We've talked about FC Cincinnati's depth, but that's the one spot I don't think we have depth.
Well, we still have 2 or 3 senior roster spots. We still have $1.5 million to $2 million worth of cap space. So we got room to maneuver.
Yeah, but man, there's a lot to be said about the chemistry. He's already
dude. Mascara's been here for 5 weeks,
and it's worked. I don't want to mess with the working formula.
When you're the tallest, fastest, most athletic guy on the pitch, you don't need chemistry. That's what we have with Mascara. If you really watch, he gets stretched, he gets out of position. It just doesn't matter. He's faster than all the wingers he's facing. It's pretty phenomenal.
No, my favorite part about Mascara, as well as kind of like with Miazga too, is that if we had a bad call or rough and tumble play, it was always Lucho going after the guy. And now it's like you got Mascara beefing up, you got Miazga beefing up. I do like their hand motions too, like when they're yelling at each other, like freaking Miazga makes these like raptor claws with his hands, like watch, and then like your son gets like his palms up really close and like gestures at the referee. I wish you guys had video right now watching this, but watch it next time. But I do love the beef, and they're big dudes, and they're sending messages to play the teams that we haven't sent before. So I love it. I love the vibes coming out of this team, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, tough physical. I thought Miazga was going to do the short thing again when like he did versus Mexico. Yeah.
Oh, who are they yelling at worse though? Were they yelling at the ref and the other Seattle players, or were they yelling at Celentano in the first half harder? That's what I was right there in the first half. Like that's where my seats are. I'm like, ooh.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to be Celentano at halftime.
Yeah, Yerson went up to Celentano and told him exactly what he did wrong on that first play. Like, look, man.
Well, that's what you want, though.
Yeah, I was surprised to see again when Celentano ran into Miazga in the second half that he was smiling afterwards. I thought Miazga was going to let him have it then too.
Well, Raptor claws. That should be a Cincy shirt. You should sell your idea to Cincy shirts. There, you could have. They do all these player tees. You could get that going. Royalties.
I love it.
Well, our guest from Apple TV wasn't able to stop by tonight. We had a time mix up.
Central time.
Yeah, it's daylight savings time, Central time. Who knows what was going on there? But we will we will be back at that next week. We appreciate you for tuning in this week to Cincinnati Soccer Talk. Real quick, let's get your final thoughts, Bryan. Big Bry.
That's him.
Is that me?
He's bigger than me. He's bigger than, again, Bryan B. Or you call him Bryan, you call me Bry.
Oh, there. Okay. I'll just answer to whatever. And if I step on your toes, Bryan, you just you just kick me out. Oh man. No, my final thoughts, man. Big win against Seattle. I was just excited to see that. It was one that I knew was going to be a tough game. It was good to come away with that W. My final thought, again, I mentioned it earlier, was I'm just sad when I'm in Cincinnati, I don't get to TQL and see him play. So a little bummed about that.
Well, we miss you, man. Tell you what, if it spices up the deal, I'll tell my spouse to stay home and I'll have you sit in the seat next to me, buddy.
All right, let's do it.
You don't have that authority.
All right, other Bryan, small Bryan.
Small Bryan. All right. That's cool, I guess. I love that we have different ways to win matches. Last year we were a lot of counterattack. This year, we didn't score, I guess, through a strong run of play, but we pressed high. We put them under a lot of pressure as a large group, not just an isolated forward. So I love that we're able to do that, and you're starting to see a lot more patterns of play from Coach Noonan. And we're going to be a tough team to scout, especially if we keep growing and adding aspects to the whole team shape. So very excited to see how we progress. And I think I kind of said this to Brad. I think we're going to kick the absolute crap out of Chicago this week.
It'd be good to see. I think it'd erase a lot of doubts from people's minds.
I hope that the person who Jeff's interviewing for Jersey Swap didn't hear me say that, just so he'll still come on the show, or he or she will still come on the show. But I'm very confident. I don't think that they have the tools to compete toe for toe against us. So you might see a 11 behind the ball again. We'll see.
Any given week, Coach. A lot of comments about your dark room. People are asking if you're in a dungeon.
Yeah, we need some pork barrel spending from those supporters. Go on to, support at CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com or whatever, and buy me a light, buy Boston a working microphone. We can see if we can get this ragtag operation up and going.
So cheap around here.
No, but my real final thought is I just want to express the most sincerest gratitude for the Pride Cincy's Twitter account that tweeted out in support of my positivity campaign. Tweeted out saying it is unacceptable, the fan chants. And I know that this Twitter account, whoever's running that, is just backing me up, wants to see more cheering and less booing, less FU Seattle chants. So I tweeted back at him, yes, I agree. But buddy, you and me will make the change, be the change you want to see in the world. Positivity wins. Let's go.
All right, Coach. Oh man, I did see that tweet. I thought of you for a split second. You haven't had any good social media battles this year. I feel like somebody needs to go toe to toe with you.
I'm trying.
Yeah, if you're listening to the show, please find something wrong with Coach's next podcast and come at him, because
it's not his podcast. It's his random tweet in the 64th minute in a match that pisses everybody off.
All right, wait for the 64th minute of the Chicago match. Whatever he says, take the opposite. I need good reading around here.
I had a few Seattle fans call me some very colorful things that I didn't respond to because it was not even fun banter after I said that Seattle is a bunch of whiny divers. But I'll have to say something mean about my own team or fans to get it really going.
So, Coach, I don't know if you've seen the episode screenshot image. You'll appreciate it. So go check it out if you can on CincinnatiSoccer.com, and you'll get a little laugh.
Oh, tonight's show image? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one.
Yeah, Bryan was on top of that. It's Bryan either really liked that image or he's really sick of the ones I put out each week, and he's like, I gotta.
Whenever I'm on the show, I just get everything ready.
All right. Well, we appreciate you listening tonight. A little bit different. I got a request to keep stretching the show out, Jay, but I'm not sure the audio listeners, they're probably already to work. They're just sitting in the car. You can't go in until you finish the episode. So that's what I got to do here for them. But don't worry, we have more podcasts coming this week. Coach will have 2 podcasts, one with Justin Hoyt and one where he replaces Justin Hoyt or Nate Gilman, and then as well as Jersey Schwab with Jeff Tebbets, who replaced me and Bryan and made the show a lot better. So check those out, and we look forward to talking to you next week.